Okay, Rabbi Sai, I just want to be moided to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Haidul Hashem ki tov ki la'olam chazda. The Rabbeinu Shalom gave me a beautiful baby boy yesterday, and Be'ez Hashem. Okay. Everyone's invited to the Shalom Zacha Be'ez Hashem. If you're listening on Torah anytime, we'll get you and Yishur to come in just to be able to join the Shalom Zacha Be'ez Hashem. Thank you to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Gewaldig. Let's move on, Rabbi Sai. We're in the middle of the Heilige Sugi of Muktza. And, you don't have to write that one down. We're in the middle of the Heilige Muktza, and we are discussing broken kelim. That is our shaila. And we talked about yesterday the Indian of if something is broken, Shema, you're going to come to fix it. That is automatically Muktza because of a Gzeira Shema Yiska. Right? By the Gemara in Shabbos by Kira, and therefore a person may come to fix things on Shabbos. So, I want to just go through some of the practical examples before we move on. So, just an interesting question. What happens if a mezuzah falls off the doorpost on Shabbos? Is it allowed to be moved, picked up, and returned? So we'll talk about that as well. Just 1 second. Excellent, great question. Shkoyach, Levi Yitzchak, Moedik. Now we're gonna. This was negay. This happened to me. It happened. Very good. I mean, if you have to check your tzitzis by every day before you put your tzitzis on, you check the knots. Sheinberg, by the way, held you don't have to do it nowadays. He held that nowadays our tzitzis have a chazaka that they're good because they're made of much stronger materials than they used to be in the olden days, and therefore what everyone does by flipping their talis over and checking it before davening, and they walk up and down with wet pious after the mikvah. You know how it goes. So that they
check their talis for way too long.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You know. So he held you don't have to do that. Just daven. It's better. Just daven. Yeah. Just say the words. Anyway, so where were we? If a mezuzah falls down, so many parts can hold it. Say Muktza machmas chesorin kis. Because you are miyachid makom, which means you kept it over there, you don't want anyone touching it, you don't want anyone messing with it, moving it around, right? But obviously it's a bizoyin to the kisvei kodesh, and therefore you should pick it up in that case, kisvei kodesh that fell down. Contra v'lyashad, that's is not mukta, and therefore it's no problem. Obviously the case itself will be mukta. Now, what about a watch that stopped? What happens if your watch stops on Shabbos? Does it become mukta or not? So some of the poskim, for example, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman held that now it's got a din of muktzah because it's got no usage b'chlal, and he held it as a muktzah machmas gufo. That means there's no heter to move it even it's a gufo mekoymai. That's Rabbi Shlomo Zalman's psak la'alocha lemaisa, and therefore you cannot move it. However, the Oz Nidbru and as I pass the Shulchan and other poskim that held no. 1 second. It all depends. Is it be'etzem broken, or did it just stop because you didn't rewind it, or maybe the battery went? But it's not broken. There's a big difference. If be'etzem it's broken, meaning you bang into something and it like smashes. Okay, now it's a broken piece. Finish, it's over. Now it's muktzah. This everyone will give it's muktzah. But if the pshat is it's not broken, it's just it's stopped. On Motzei Shabbos, I'll rewind it. I'm not talking about the ones that as you move, what are they called? The ones where as you move it winds it for you? You know what I'm talking about? What are they called? Anyone know? No. The ones that as you move it, it winds it up the whole time. There's like a fancy name. I don't know what it is. But who? Think of it, Jiggy Wiggy. Anyway, whatever it is. So the point is like this. Can you use that on Shabbos? The answer is yes, by the way. People always ask that kasha. Are you allowed to wear that on Shabbos? Or is that ki'ilu you're winding it up? Oh, so most of them have 24 hours before Shabbos, and therefore when Shabbos came in, it was okay. What do we do with the 2-day Yom Tov? Good kasha. Okay, now, some have 48 hours. Some say that because moving of the hand, it's very hard to consider that to be a maisa of winding anything up. I'm not doing a pu'ula to winding up, I'm doing my regular action of just moving my hand, and therefore it's okay. You with me?
What if you wear the watch as like an accessory?
Oh, beautiful kasha. Comes along Mr. Ellenberg and says, kasha. I wear my watch in Flatbush as a piece of jewelry. Nobody wears a watch that you should know the time. That's old-fashioned. You wear a watch because, that's your chosin watch. Wow. Let me have a look at it. That's gorgeous. That's mamish beautiful, right? No, if you wear it for that case, Mordechai, what do you tie now? If it breaks, totally broken. Which Rameshu is it? Avad, it's not Muktza. Why? Because he has a usage for it. Only if it's broken, there's no usage. Is it true? Okay. Let's move on.
Wait, but a watch they get to rewind.
Yeah.
You're allowed to wear it? Even if it's broke?
Yeah. It's not broken. It's not broken. It's a good watch.
To rewind it?
No, you're not worried you're going to come to rewind it. No. Just like you're not worried if you have a Casio, the old-fashioned Casio with the calculators on, those cool watches. You have to be really cool to get one of those. Right? I had a calculator on it, on the watch itself. I was like, wow, you got one of those? That's amazing. Right? Are you worried that maybe you're going to press the buttons? Ain't it other side? In your house, you can't go in the room because maybe you're going to punch it. Okay, but no, we don't do that. And therefore, it's okay. Oh, I asked this Rabbi Zul Orbach. What's the din if you're wearing a broken watch? I asked him this kasha. We went backwards and forwards a few times. Is the pshat shevel taisa odif? Meaning, I'll leave it, I won't do anything. I am carrying Muktza the ganze Shabbos. But say that I'm not doing a pu'ula to touch the Muktza. Or, maybe it's better to one time give a serious opening up, open the watch, take it off. Okay, so I was metaltel Muktza lehedya, as opposed to just normally carrying it around. So we went backwards and forwards, we never came out with a clear answer exactly which one would be better. Pashtus says it's probably better to leave it on, because you're not doing any maisa mufurish to the actual Muktza. But again, I'm discussing a watch that is totally broken, that breaks on Shabbos, not that it's just stopped and you can rewind it, and that's rather not considered to be Muktza. Now, a toilet seat that is broken off, right? Now, this is a very, very common case in Eretz Yisrael. Right, the toilet seat is connected with these little plastic little pieces, and it can come off very, very easily. The question is, you walk into the toilet and you see that it's on the floor. So I need to pick it up and put it on. Am I allowed to do that? Or maybe it's Muktza. The person says, "Havada, it's Muktza." Why is it Muktza? Because there's a gzeira you're going to come to screw it on, which is again the whole sugya of the kira that we said yesterday, which was any time there's a gzeira that you may fix it, or may do an issa by fixing it, then the whole item is going to be Muktza. And therefore it's problematic, with the exception of what we said yesterday, the Ramah, which is what? Okay, you have an excuse. Okay, very good, that's one. It cannot be fixed, it's snapped, and therefore there's no way of fixing it. What's another example of when it will be water? Very good. No, if you use it before Shabbos. If it was already used before Shabbos, then the Ramah says we're not worried about such a case. A buggy wheel, a stroller wheel, if it breaks off, right? So if it's a four-wheeler, and nowadays they don't even make them anymore. It's like old-fashioned, the four-wheelers. You know what I'm talking about? The one was they had actually 4 wheels. Now it's going to have 3 wheels. No, the more modern ones, everything has to have 3 wheels. So if one of those wheels breaks off, it's all over. In a way that you could fix it. You could screw it back on. Obviously, then the whole buggy, the whole stroller becomes Muktza. But if it's a 4-wheel, that one of the things only come off, you can still use it, then you are okay. Frank Levi Yitzchak, what's with tzitzis? What's with tzitzis? So Rav Vosner has a tshuva in Shevet HaLevi Chelik Gimel Siman Lamed Aleph that he talks about tzitzis that became ripped and posel. It's quite hard, by the way, for tzitzis to rip and become posel. It depends where, it depends Kedei Niva, it depends. I'm not going to go to Hilchos Tzitzis right now, but it's not so posh that always because it rips and becomes possible. That's just number one. But if theoretically it became possible in that case, so Rav Vosner writes that it's not Muktza on Shabbos, even if it ripped and actually became possible on Shabbos, because it's your das is a person is generally to make it kosher, and therefore there is no problem whatsoever. And the person can lend it to somebody else, and it's a talis she'ula, and made it potem tzitzis, and therefore that's the reason why they tell that there's no problem with that whatsoever. The glasses we spoke about yesterday. One thing I just want to mention is sometimes, again, this is also very old-fashioned, if you have actual rims that cover the entire glasses, right? Oh, right? If it pops out on Shabbos, you're allowed to put it back in?
Yes, because I need to see.
Yes, because you need to see. What?
I'm going to pop it back in because I need to see.
No. Unless it comes out and in the whole time. But if it's very hard to get back in, then obviously you're not allowed to put that in Shabbos. That's to be a shayla or boina. And what are you meant to do? I don't know.
Not see?
Not see. Yes, that's what you meant to do. Not see. What does that mean?
Don't.
If it's Muktza, it's Muktza.
The point of the whole thing, if I should have a second.
If it's Muktza, it's Muktza. So you carry the child.
Do with it. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it.
Comes over, get back too. You can hold it up in the air, push it like back too.
No, if 2 of them came off, you have 4 wheels. So it's a 3-wheel and 1 came off, you can't use it anymore. So not usable. In a way that you could fix it. I'm not talking about it snapped.
You got it back to just lean it back.
What's that? Let's go back to the Gemara that we said yesterday. The Gemara we said yesterday was talking about a kira, right? A kira that the leg came off. You can't use it. What, an oven without a leg is unusable? Of course it's usable. It's just not geschmack that the whole oven is going to be tilting this way and that way. Open the door, put the stuff in. It can be used. The oven works. The oven's not broken. The pshat is the leg is broken, and it makes it very hard to use it. That's when Chazal were geisa. Not only when it's totally not usable, when it's hard to use it. We said the nafkamina, if you have a chair that you have, let's say, a few legs, and you've got one leg missing, it's usable. It works. It's not so geschmack maybe, but it basically works. That could be okay. But if the whole thing is tilting from this way to that way, that makes it almost hard to use, then that would be the problematic. By the way, what's the din of a public item? What's the din, for example, is something that belongs to the olam, that we said, that one of the things that we said was, that if you use it before Shabbos, it helps. That was Levi Yitzchak said. If you use it before Shabbos, there's no gzeira. Why? Says the Ramah, because we see that you're not going to fix it. Oh, right, I used it before Shabbos. Yeah, what if it belongs to the olam? What if it's something belongs to something to yeshiva? A stender, a bench, whatever it may be. What's the din in such a case? Is the pshat that every single person has to use it? Or is it enough that one person uses it? Shemon, what do you tell now?
Everybody has to use it because somebody else might come.
Ah, beautiful. Shlomo Zalman passed in that way. Shlomo Zalman said that since it belongs to the tzibur, just because one person used it before Shabbos, it's not going to help you. So you have a stender that's a little bit broken. One guy used it on Thursday night throughout the night before Nate's to learn with it, and it worked. Very nice. That was you, Levi Yitzchak. But Shimon comes along the next morning, says, I want to use it now. So he wants to use it for morning kailo. Doesn't work. Because it's a public item. Each and every person have to use it. The Ramah's din is if the Baal, the owner, used it before Shabbos, he's the one that's going to fix it. And if he used it before Shabbos, we're not worried. Masha'engen, if it belongs to the tzibur. Jed, are you with me? Yeah. Makes sense, right? Good? Okay, gewaltig. Okay, let's move on, Rabbi Isai. Okay, let me just finish with a couple more things that I wanted to mention. And that is like this. What is the din with wet clothing? Now, this could be very, very negeya by clothing that's in the washing machine before Shabbos, or if something became wet on Erev Shabbos. What is the din with wet clothing? So the Mishnah Berurah brings down in Simon Samakim and Simon Shinches as follows. Mishnah Berurah says if you have wet clothing, if it's tofer amanas latfiach. Now we discussed this by the baby wipe share, so all of you are familiar with this term already. Tofer amanas latfiach. Aaron, what does that mean? Tofer amanas latfiach. That means you touch it, and that finger can make something else wet. If you have an item of clothing that is tofer amanas latfiach, it is completely muktza. That means you cannot move it the whole Shabbos. Okay, 1 second. What is the reason why it's muktza? You might come to building a raft. No. Oh, there we go. Shkoyach. You may come to squeeze it on Shabbos. You may come to squeeze. It's a gzeira shema yischait. Mimele Chazal were worried if you just like the case by the kira that were worried if you touch it, you're going to come to fix it. Who are over here? If you have an item of clothing that is wet, there's a gzeira shema yischait. You may come to squeeze it on Shabbos. Ask Shimon. I think this is your question, right? Yeah. What was your question? What about when it dries? Comes along the Minchas Yitzchak and the Minchas Yitzchak says this halacha is only if it's going to remain wet for the ganze Shabbos. Or if you know when Shabbos comes in that it's going to dry in the middle of Shabbos, it's a very negay shaila Rabbi Isai. You have towels, let's say from the mikvah on Erev Shabbos, let's say you got clothing from the washing machine, and these things are going to dry. Right now they're wet. Oh, it's boiling hot outside. It's going to dry in a few hours. By Shabbos morning, it's going to be nice and dry. So to Minchas Yitzchak, there's no problem whatsoever. And then once it becomes dry, then it is okay. And as I pass in a Ma'aser Reb Moshe, Shevet HaLevi, in Ravazna, that halacha l'maisa, any wet clothing when on beginning of Shabbos, and generally, by the way, Muktza goes by Erev Shabbos. How it came in, Migades Ketzoy tells us that when Shabbos comes in, that's how it remains the whole Shabbos. That's why theoretically it should become Muktza and remain Muktza the whole Shabbos. But the Chiddush of the Minchas Yitzchak is no, since I know that it's going to dry, then it is no problem. Another example, anyone who has an idea what's another example? When it will not become Muktza?
Brush it with your lips.
When it's meant to be wet.
Ooh, very good. Yesem Chaim, beautiful. When it's meant to be wet, that's kavaldi, Baruch Hashem. When the item is meant to be wet, meaning you're not makbid on it. If you have a shmata that you use to clean spills in your house and it becomes wet, is that muktzah? No. Why is there some gzeira? Masha'enkin, if your shirt became wet, if your tablecloth became wet, now you got a problem. Now, if it's on you, obviously you have to take it off. But theoretically, you have to be very careful. You have a tablecloth that's soaking wet, you cannot use it on Shabbos because it's a gzeira, because you don't want it to become wet. You're makbid on it. Another example, by the way, if it has wine inside, or Coca-Cola. So then you're not going to come to squeeze it. Why are you going to squeeze it? What's going to make it better? You have wine in the tablecloth. Ooh, I'm going to squeeze my tablecloth and use it for Shabbos day. Not a chance. You're not using it again. But maybe there's no Gzeira Shem Yiskot in that case. So that will be okay. Okay, that finishes, Rabbi said, the sugya of broken kalim and the like. Now what we have to move on is food. Now we have to discuss, Rabbi said, a lot of food sugyas. Raw food, enough community, meat and fish. We also have to discuss the difference between frozen food and not frozen food. We also have to discuss peels, pits, bones, l'chaim. L'chaim's in between fish and meat. I'm not sure how that comes into Muktza, but I'm sure we can fit it in somewhere. And Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow we will start the halachas of food when it comes to Muktza. Have a beautiful and wonderful day.